Okay, good morning, everyone. At least it's morning here. Welcome to our new Mooc session. This is the second week of our Mooc. I'd like to start this Mooc session by telling you that you can also ask your questions here and we will reply to them. I will show you how that is possible. If you look in your if you look here in your Mooc page, in your Google Hangout page, there is a chat button here that you can press, and then there is this chat box here that opens, and you can ask your questions. That's where we will see your questions and we will answer them. Okay, apart from that, if we go to the Mooc page, I'd like to share with you how many people have actually joined the Mooc Hangout. So we have 795 people who have joined, and good to see that a lot of people are still active in the groups. But something that I'd like to point out is that we see that still a lot of people are not in teams. So can you please find your team and join your team, because the assignments for week 2 are starting, and you should be actually talking in your teams and dividing tasks now. Go here. Stop sharing. Okay. Now I have 2 of my colleagues who are also here with me, and will explain more to you about the assignments and also about the team charter and grouping. Leon, would you like to go first?
Yes, well, thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Mariam. As you already also said, it is really important that you join a team, because that enables you to do the group assignments. If you're still looking for a team, keep in mind that the tutored groups are full at this moment, but there are still several groups that are looking for additional members or new members. So if you're not in a team yet, you can either browse through the list of teams or go to the dedicated page on the discussion forum, and there find messages of teams that are still looking for people, or the other way around. If you're in a team that is still looking for new members, you can also go there and look for people that are posting messages saying that they still are looking for a team. So feel free to join a team. Also, if you know that there are people in your surroundings that would like to join the Mooc but haven't done that yet, they can still do that until the 31st of October, and then they can also still join a team. And also, if you notice that your team is rather small and no new members are joining, or when it's rather inactive, you can also decide to switch team. The way to do that is to first leave your current team, and then you can go to another team, because you can't be in 2 teams at the same time. And with regards to that, I would also like to point out that the group space that you're in with your team, so the team space, is a private thing. The Mooc facilitators cannot look into those team spaces unless they're like a tutor, but then you'll know that because you're in the tutor team, or because your team might be observed, because we send out some emails asking teams whether it's okay with them when we observe them, to see how an online PBL process goes. But you've received an email about that if that's the case. So if that's not the case, then you know that your team space is private and we won't be looking into it. I think that's with regards to the teams for now.
Well, I take over then, and maybe explain a little bit of why we have designed the Mooc to this way, with a lot of teamwork in it. And the reason for that is that we are running a Mooc about problem-based learning, and collaborative working on problems, on problem cases, is the essence of PBL. And that's why we have also designed the Mooc to be mostly teamwork. Working online in online teams is a little bit more complicated than working in face-to-face teams. Additionally, most of you might be in teams where you don't know the other team members. So it's really important that you get to know each other, that you get to know each other's motivation to do this Mooc, each other's preferences on how to collaborate and communicate, and that you also try out some of the tools that you can use. And some of those are in the platform, but you could also consider using tools outside of the platform, using Skype or phone calls or emails or WhatsApp or Padlet walls or mind mapping software. They're all things that we've seen. And on the tools page, you can find links to potential tools that you might want to try out. There's some time to do this early in this week to get to know each other better, to try out how you work together, maybe to finish your team charter if you haven't done so already. You can still hand that in even though the deadline has passed, because all our deadlines are soft deadlines, which means that you can still hand in assignments even when the deadline has passed. So that's what you do at the beginning of the week. Maybe it's just as easy for me to go on and tell you something about the task that you have at the end of this week, where you start on the first PBL problem. So like PBL in face-to-face settings, we have provided a number of problems for you to work on as a team, where, very similar to face-to-face PBL, you go to a brainstorming phase, you discuss the problem to see what you know about this, what you think is interesting about this, what you would like to know more about, and you end that phase with some learning questions that your team decides to focus on to find out information for. And when you have those learning questions, each of you individually can go out and look for learning materials that give you some information to answer those questions. And part of those materials will be in the Mooc, and another part you could be searching in your library or on the internet or with any other facilities that you have. That's probably the most important thing I was going to say. What do I have left, Mariam?
I think that's about it, Danielle, although I'm just looking now. Can you explain a little bit about the fact that the team space is private, but the assignments are visible to everyone?
Yeah, that's a good point. So the team charter that you have made when you hand it on, and when you hand it in, is not visible to other participants, only to the facilitators of the Mooc, that's us. But from now on, all the new assignments, all the PBL assignments will be visible to all participants in the Mooc. And that makes it possible for you to see also what other teams are doing and what they have found. Because the people participating in this Mooc have quite varied interests, the focus of what different teams do can also differ a bit. And so if you look at the discussion forum, you can see that some of the teams are clearly from one professional field, are all in medical education or all in secondary school. Some of the teams are clearly located in a specific region. They're all from Brazil, or they're all from Romania. So that might mean that those teams bring a focus in their own work. You might be especially interested in how PBL works in secondary schools, or how PBL works in an Asian culture. And that's fine. And it might be interesting for other teams also to see then what you have found on those more focused research questions. I think that's mostly what I would like to say about the assignments. Then maybe a little bit about our role as facilitators, because this is a MOOC. So we think that in the setting of a MOOC, we have a different role than in a small scale online education. There are 800 people in this MOOC. There are many different teams, so it's really not feasible for us to follow all of you in detail or to give feedback to each and every assignment. What we will do is that we will keep an eye on the general flow of this discussion forum. If there are any technical questions, we'll try to answer them. If there are any issues that come back, a lot of the time we will try to answer. We will inspect some of the assignments to see how you're doing and then comment on that in these facilitator hangouts. But we can't have the same role as we have in a small scale course. I think that's really all I could say. And I was looking to see if there were any questions at this moment, but I don't see any. Do you?
Okay. I don't see any questions either. There's just Marisela saying hi, hello. If you have any questions, maybe you can ask your question now. Well, thank you for joining the Hangout, firstly. Okay, a question regarding the inactive members. Would any of you like to explain? We would suggest that you either change your team if you think your team is too small, or, oh, Danielle, you wanted to go. Okay, Danielle, I'll pass the floor to you.
No, I was going to say that this is, from previous runs, we know that in a MOOC, it works a bit different than in another small scale course. I see that you have 10 very active members. I think that's a really good number to work with. I think it's entirely normal that there are some members in a team that are not so active. At least that's what we have seen previously in about every team. You have a choice in that. You can, of course, try to stimulate them to participate. And if they don't, you can either just ignore them and think, well, that's okay if they're here and they want to follow what we're doing and not participate, that's fine. If it bothers you that there are people listening in that are not active, the team leader can also remove people from the team. So that depends a bit on how you experience this. We've seen both. Some teams say, well, if people are really not active, we don't want them listening in. And some other teams say, well, sure, we don't mind, let them be there. There's maybe one other thing I would like to mention, and that is that in a MOOC, people can have a very varied background and experience. And so some of you might have a lot of teaching experience, some of you might not have teaching experience, some of you might easily speak in English, and for others that might be a problem. So it's probably a good idea to accept that not everybody is able to contribute in the same way. That not everybody has the language skills, the time, the experience to contribute in equal amounts. Does that more or less answer your question, Marisela? Okay, well, thank you for your question. And if you have other questions, we'll answer them. And if not, I think we're more or less at the end of this MOOC, this Hangouts.
Okay, thank you very much, Danielle, Lian, and Marisela for joining us today. I think we have reached the end of this MOOC for today. Thank you. And if you have other questions or if you want to join us again for the next MOOC is on Thursday. See you, everybody. Bye.